Hello again everyone and welcome back to the channel. In today's video we are back taking another look at the PMDG 737. This time of course though we are looking at the 737-600. The aircraft has released for a quite unbelievable sum of $35 US, making it without a doubt the most cost-effective study jet you can purchase in the sim to date. At that sort of a price point it was very difficult to resist picking up the 600, so I thought that we'd do a bit of a showcase flight for you here today. To many, the aircraft may look very similar to the 737-700, a little bit stubby as well perhaps. I really like the aesthetic of the 600 though. I've always quite enjoyed the 737-500, which of course was the predecessor of the 6. On the face of it, there certainly isn't a ton of difference between the 700 and the 600, but there are a few variations between the two aircraft. Firstly, you'll notice, or you'll see later on at least anyway, the absence of any winglets on the aircraft. The 600 never actually came fitted with any winglets, and the aircraft also only came out in a passenger variant. There was no cargo or business jet version. The airframe is some 2.5 metres shorter than the 700, again giving the aircraft quite a stubby appearance. That ultimate reduction in aircraft weight though does of course mean an increase in aircraft performance, and we'll certainly be trying to demonstrate that here today. Another nice feature of the 600, which you'll also get with the 700, is the introduction of PMDG's new LNAV VNAV modelling. The aircraft should now fly LNAV a little bit more accurately, I believe, and the VNAV logic's also been updated for the aircraft. Of course, though, at the end of the day, the 700 and the 600 have far more in common than they do any differences. So we're not going to be carrying out a full review of the aircraft here, as we've already done that, of course, with the 700, and I'll leave a link to that review up above. Instead, we're going to be taking our 600, operating the morning Fly Globespan shuttle service between Scotland's Glasgow Airport and London Stansted. It should be a nice quick hop. The flight time is around 1 hour. We'll be cruising our way over at flight level 370. We've only got about 110 passengers on board the aircraft and about 6.1 tonnes of fuel. There's been quite a bit of rain passing through Glasgow this morning, although the weather does seem to be clearing up now. Down in Stansted there is a little bit of fog and mist forecast, so we've taken a bit of extra fuel to cater for that as well. Anyway, it should be a fun little hop, so I do hope you enjoy it. If you do, please consider giving the video a like and subscribing to the channel. Let's now head for the cockpit of the 600 and we'll be on our way. So good morning and welcome once again to the cockpit of the PMDG 737. This time of course we're taking a look at the baby Boeing, the 600. All of our passengers are now on board. We've just closed up the aircraft doors, so we are more or less ready for the push and start. Just before we commence that though, we'll come down to the CDU and we'll brief up here for the departure. So we've been cleared for the Norbo 1 hotel departure off runway 23. We'll brief that in just a moment's time. That of course takes us out towards waypoint Norbo, and from there we'll be joining the Tango 256 airway out towards waypoint Rovla. From Rovla it's the Upper Tango 256 out towards Dean's Cross, and then the Upper Lima 612 out towards waypoint Listo, joining the Listo 1 Lima arrival for the ILS-22 into London Stansted. In terms of our takeoff, we've got a D2 takeoff. We're going with full climb thrust, so again, really there just to demonstrate to you the level of performance that we're actually going to get out of the 737-600. And V speeds, we've got V1 114, VR 121 and V2 128. So in terms of the clear departure, again it's the Norbo 1 hotel, that's plate 10-3 Delta. It's a conventional SID based off the Glasgow VOR. Pretty straightforward, climbing initially on runway heading out towards 530 feet. Then turning to intercept the 226 radial outbound from Glasgow, maintaining the radial till 14 DME, then a left turn out towards waypoint Norbo. We do have some height restrictions there, primarily maintaining 6,000 feet until we're at waypoint Norbo. However, we're going to be disregarding that for today. We're climbing straight up to our cruising flight level of 370. Again, really just to demonstrate the level of performance that we can actually get out of the 600. Terrain-wise, we have the highest sector MSA out to the northeast, that's 4,900 feet. Out on our departure track, the MSA 3,000 feet. And weather-wise, actually quite nice here now in Glasgow. Things have improved quite a bit. The rain seems to have passed through. Still some cloud coverage, but the temperature outside is now 19 degrees, so fairly warm. No icing considerations, at least for the initial stage of the climb. Taxi-wise, pushing back onto Lima here, so back towards the apron. We'll then join onto taxiway Golf, and taking Golf onto Alpha, and taking Alpha all the way down to a full-length departure off runway 23. Once again, we do have the 226 radial tuned up on both sides, and we have the Glasgow VOR 115.4 tuned up on both nav1 and on nav2. So that just about completes the departure brief, running through our push and start flows. Electrical is set as required, passenger signs are on. Hydraulics, we'll get the electric pumps on. Doors and windows, no door warnings there. Windows are closed, beacon can go on. Transponder we'll set to TARA. And for the air conditioning, packs can go off. We've got the APU bleed air on. So running through the before start checks, fuel, we have 6.1 tonnes on board the aircraft, and that concurs with the flight plan. Fuel pumps are on, passenger signs are on, windows are closed. On the MCP we have V2 128, heading for 229, and altitude pre-selected there at flight level 370. Takeoff speeds, again we have V1 114, VR 121, and V2 128. CDU pre-flight has been completed, rudder and aileron trim is set. Taxi and takeoff briefing is complete, the flight deck door is closed and locked, and the beacon is on. That's the before start checklist complete. So the park brake can come off, we'll commence the pushback, and we can get the number 2 started, so the number 2 start switch can go to ground.
Good afternoon, Jersey 555, climbing flight level 210, radar heading is 175.
There's our N2 rotation. Waiting there till we see 25% before we introduce the fuel.
Good afternoon, Easy 7043, flight level 290, direct Seaford. Easy 7043, London, roger.
And there's our 25%, so the number 2 start lever can go to idle. There's our Ryzen EGT. And we do have N1 rotation. Oil pressure coming up nicely there as well. And we'll just stop the push here once we're nose behind the taxiway line on Lima. So looking good there on the push, we'll release the tug. And once again the park brake can go on.
Jersey 555, London, climb flight level 230.
Good start there on the number 2, we'll start the number 1.
Flight level 230, Jersey 555.
There's our N2 rotation. And again the oil pressure rising.
Anya 223 Alpha, climb flight level 310, set course direct Southampton.
And there's our 25%, so fuel on.
Level 310, course, set course direct Southampton, Britannia 223 Alpha.
There's the light off.
British 940, contact London 135.2, goodbye. 35.32 British 940, bye. Britannia 223 Alpha, contact London 135.42, goodbye. London 135.42, Britannia 223 Alpha, bye bye.
And we have start to cut out, start valve, caution is extinguished. Running through the after start checks, or the after start flows. Generators, we'll just check the output. Everything looking good, so the generators can go on the bus. Heater heats can go on. Anti-ice not required. Air conditioning and pressurization, we'll get the packs on. Engine bleed is on, APU bleed can go off. Start levers are both in the idle position. Ground crew, the tug is clear, the ground crew are clear. APU can now go off. And the flaps we can set to flaps 5 for the takeoff. That's as per our performance calculation. Running then through our after start checks. The generators are on, probe heats are on, anti-ice off, isolation valve is set to auto. Engine start switches are set to continuous. Recall has been checked. Auto brake is set to RTO. Again, the engine start levers are set to idle. Flight controls We'll just come onto the systems page. And we have full up, full down, and neutral, full left, full right, and neutral, and on the rudder, full left, full right, and neutral. We'll get rid of the lower DU for the time being. We do have an FMC message there. Verify the takeoff speeds. And again, they are calculated based on valid data, so we'll clear that for the time being. We are clear for the taxi, so taxi light can go on. Same for the runway turn-off lights. And all clear on the left. Same here on the right, so the park brake once again can go off. Coming up on the thrust levers. So as I say, joining here left onto Lima, it'll then be left again onto Golf. And again, just clearing up the ancillary data there on the display unit. And again, all clear on the left.
Jersey 555 navigation Southampton.
Southampton, Jersey 555.
Cafe 002, contact London 134.9er. Bye-bye.
349, Cathay 2.
So right here onto taxiway Golf. Golf leads into Alpha, just peeling off to the left.
Jersey 555, contact London 129.42. Goodbye.
12942, Jersey 555, bye.
We'll just wait here until we're on Alpha and then we can carry out the rest of the 4 takeoff items. And no traffic here coming out of Kilo.
Pakistan 791, descend 1 ready, flight level 220 to be level at Hemel.
Descent level 220 to be level by Hemel, Pakistan 791.
So now we'll just follow Alpha all the way down to the holding point for a full-length departure off runway 23. So in terms of the before takeoff flows, the engine start switches are set to continuous, flight controls have been checked, transponder is set to TARA, data has been set, flaps, we have flaps 5 selected, flaps 5 indicated with the green light, takeoff performance data there is predicated on flaps 5. Exterior lights will just hold the landing lights and the strobes for the time being, and we'll hold the checklist there down at the line.
Ladies and gentlemen, in preparation for departure, please check to see that your seatbelts are securely fastened, your window shades are open, seat backs are in the upright and locked position, your tray tables have been put away, all your carry-on items are securely stowed, all electronic devices need to be powered off, and that includes cellular phones. Thank you.
So we're just passing holding point Bravo 1. Again, we're going to be taking a full-length departure here on runway 23. Running through the last of our before takeoff items then, exterior lights can go on. So landing lights on, take the strobe lights on as well. Auto throttle we can arm. Weather radar is inoperative currently in the aircraft, so we'll leave that off for the time being. And for the before takeoff checks, flaps. We have flaps 5 indicated with the green light, stabiliser trim. We have 6.63 units set. All clear on final, so we'll get ourselves lined up here on runway 23. We calculated the V-speeds here for a wet takeoff. Obviously it's dry conditions here now, but better just play it safe and conservative there on the ramp. We did have some rain passing through the area earlier, as I mentioned. So coming up on the throttles, there's 40% M1, we'll let the engine stabilise. And take off. N1 toga on the FMA. That's checked.
V1. Rotate.
Yeah, back on the yoke. And we do have positive rate, the gear can come up. There's trimming the aircraft, following the flight directives for the time being. Up through 400 feet, so we'll take LNAV. And up through 1,000 feet now, so we'll go VNAV and Command A. We have LNAV, VNAV speed. Just waiting to come up through 1,500 feet. And now coming up to climb thrust. The thrust actually coming up here as we did a derated takeoff, but again we're opting to take full power head. Coming up to climb thrust. Just start the chrono there as well. I really want to time how long it actually takes us to get up to flight level 370. I think that'll be quite an interesting test for our flight today. We should have started that during the takeoff run. So it's flaps 1, speed is checked. And we have flaps 1 selected.
Delta 21 with you 280.
Delta 21, good afternoon.
And flaps up, once again speed's good, so the flaps can go up. Gear can go back to the off position.
Pakistan 791, contact London 130.902. Good night.
Auto brake can go off, and we have flaps up indicated, so the runway turn-off lights and the taxi lights can come off.
130.902, bye-bye Pakistan 791.
You can see for yourselves though, we're still accelerating here and still getting 2,000 feet plus per minute rate of climb out of the aircraft. That's going to go right up in just a moment's time. Running through the after takeoff flows then, the engine bleeds are on, packs are on, engine start switches can come off, flaps are up, no light, landing gear is up and off, and the altimeters, so VNAV there, that's taking us into the 6,000 foot restriction. We'll go to level change and we'll maintain 250 knots for now, we're still below 10,000 feet. So we have N1 MCP speed. And there's transition, so altimeters can go to standard. We have standard set and cross-checked. And running through the after takeoff checks then, engine bleeds are on, packs are set to auto, landing gear is up and off, and the flaps up, no lights. That's the after takeoff check is complete.
Ryan, correction, E7043, contact London 135.32, goodbye.
So already there, coming up through 9,000 feet.
532, EG7043, bye.
Looks like the chrono there only gives us minutes, not entirely familiar with the 737. But we departed pretty much at 4.5, so we use that as our reference. There's 10,000. In terms of our climb speed, looking for 282 knots. And landing lights can go off. We'll cycle the signs.
Good afternoon, 19287, flight level 250, and we're direct advance. Pioneer 9287, good afternoon, you can set course now direct to Compton, then direct Honolulu.
Yeah, so as I say, we'll use 4.5 for now as a rough estimate for our takeoff time. As you can see for yourselves, you get pretty amazing performance out of the 600, and that's really its party trick, I would say, as an aircraft. Obviously with the airframe being a little bit shorter and therefore a little bit lighter, we get some pretty phenomenal climb rates. Okay, it's actually giving us minutes there on the chrono, so it is a useful guide in terms of our time to top a climb. come out on the range there on the nav display, turning now out towards the south east, out towards waypoint Rovla. And again, the aircraft now comes with the new and improved PMDG LNAV. You can see we're tracking quite nicely there. Initially turning out towards waypoint Norbo. We've got the 6,000 foot altitude restriction, but again we can disregard that for the time being. And already up through flight level 150, so we're cracking along pretty nicely here, already up through the cloud layer as well. Certainly pretty nice above the cloud. And again, it was improving quite a bit there in Glasgow. It'll be interesting to see what the weather's doing in Stansted. It was forecast for mist and fog potentially earlier on. Anyway, up through flight level 150 above the weather, we'll set the seatbelt signs to auto.
And say again, the last bit one. After Compton to Honolulu.
And tracking now out towards the southeast. Top of climb, we're currently looking at around 80 miles there for top climb. Pretty impressive. Already up at flight level 170, 4 minutes after departure.
Delta 21, contact London 127.1. Goodbye.
127.1, Delta 21.
London, good afternoon, EG6131, climbing flight level 210, heading 130. EG6131, thanks, continue on that heading, climb flight level 240. Heading climb flight level 240, EG6131.
London, good afternoon, British 85 Alpha, flight level 260 towards Compton.
British 85 Alpha, thanks, continue on the heading for Compton as a radar heading.
Right, so we're just coming up on flight level 350, and granted we are now climbing at our constant Mach number, but we're still getting nearly 2,000 feet per minute rate of climb out of the aircraft. Again, pretty exceptional performance from the 600. We've got about another minute here in the climb. We'll get ourselves leveled off here and then we can start setting up for the arrival. Just coming overhead Dean's Cross, so turning out back towards the south. And we should be here joining on to the Upper Lima 612 airway. That takes us out towards waypoint Listo.
Ryanair 9287, turn right 10 degrees. What's the new heading? And the heading will be 360, Ryanair 927. Roger.
There's one to go. Coming back onto the climb page for the time being. So just coming up on top of climb, and as you can see it took us 14, maybe 15 minutes here to get up from ground level all the way up to flight level 370. That's pretty exceptional. To be fair, we're not particularly heavily loaded today. As I say, we've got about 110 passengers on board, just a tiny bit of freight. There's FMC speed, VNAV path.
Ryanair 9287, descend now, flight level 220, be level of beam Compton.
And we are now level, the aircraft leveling us off quite nicely there. Overall, I never had many issues before with the PMDG when it came to LNAV and VNAV, but the aircraft certainly seems to be working very well at the moment. Anyway, as I say, we'll start setting the aircraft up for the arrival. We'll brief the rest up later on. But we're expecting the ILS for runway 22 at Stansted. The frequency there is 110.5, so we'll tune that up on both sides. Already got that there in the standby. So 110.5 on both nav1 and nav2. Final approach course is 222.
Descend now, flight level 220, level of beam Compton, Ryanair 927.
Aerodrome elevation is 348, so we'll set 350 there on the pressurization system. And in terms of the MDA, Cap 1 MDA 548 as a barrier minima.
EZ6131, climb to flight level 290, just confirm your requested level.
Flight level 290, request flight level 370, EZ6131.
Roger.
And we have 548 there on the left, same there on the right. Planning to go with auto brake 1 for the landing, and just coming down again to the MCDU. We'll go back to init ref, and for the approach, planning on a flaps 30 landing. So that gives us a VREF of 127 plus a wind correction there of 5 knots, 132. Just coming out again on the nav display. Top of descent currently 80 nautical miles, so we've got about pretty much bang on 10 minutes until we start the descent. You can see there 0612 and the current time 0602. So again, there's not a huge amount of difference between the 600 and the 700, but nevertheless we'll head outside take a look at the stubby little 600 here as we make our way through the cruise portion of the flight. As usual, I'll come back to you as we commence our descent into Stansted. And as I say, we'll commence the descent and brief up the arrival onto runway 22.
Easy 6131, climb flight level 310.
Level 310, easy 6131.
Ryanair 9287, you can set course again direct to Honolulu.
Direct Honolulu, Ryanair 9287.
Fish 85 Alpha, descend when ready, flight level 220 to be level of beam Compton.
When ready, descend flight level 220, level Compton, British 85 Alpha.
Ryanair 9287, contact London 133.07, bye-bye.
307, Ryanair 9286, 9287, bye-bye.
Descent 502 Foxtrot, route direct to Trent, contact London 127.87, goodbye.
2787, 502.
London, good afternoon, easy 6131, climbing flight level 370, just turning towards Coxey.
London, good day, easy 7067, climbing flight level 310, heading 165.
Easy 7067, London Control, good day, climb flight level 370.
Level 370, easy 7067.
London, good afternoon, Expo 7066, video climbing 310, radar heading 165.
Okay, so we are just approaching our top of descent. We've had a nice 81 knot tailwind more or less, taking us over towards destination a little bit more quickly. You can see we are just coming up on 0612 and just approaching waypoint Lovell. Listo is the next waypoint, that's the start of the arrival, and indeed the top of the descent. We'll discuss more about that in just a moment's time, but for now we're going to set 2,500 feet. And we're going to leave the aircraft to fly the approach in VNAV as much as possible here, just to see how well the 737 actually copes. It says 2,500, we see that as well on the PFD. And the plan, as I say, leaving the aircraft in VNAV the entirety of the approach, we should be joining on to the ILS at 2,500 feet. So we'll just monitor the aircraft here until it goes into the descent, and then we can start briefing for the arrival. So we have retard, LNAV and VNAV path. You can see we are commencing the descent.
Expo 7066, London Control, good day, climb flight level 370.
Currently showing about 167 miles to run towards Stansted. We'll be reducing that distance in just a moment's time. There's FMC speed.
Level 370, Expo 706.
So coming over waypoint Listo. As I say, that's the start of the arrival, the Listo 1 Lima arrival, which is what we've been cleared for. There's plate 30-2 Foxtrot, it's an RNAV star, taking us in towards Finma at flight level 150, so again we'll keep an eye on the aircraft, make sure it manages our altitudes on the way down. And then from Finma we'll be tracking out towards the east. The arrival actually has us tracking over the Barkway VOR and then turning back towards waypoint Laurel, then from Laurel joining on to the approach for the ILS. Here though we're just going to clean things up a little bit, so we'll come into the legs page. Just going to shorten up the arrival a little bit, so we've got from Barkway, and then you can see that takes us out towards Buster and Laurel, but in this particular case we're just going to fly straight from Barkway inbound towards the ILS. So we put Barkway over the top of the other Barkway insertion there, and we'll clear that for now. We can execute. That's obviously going to put us a little bit higher on profile. We've got the same amount of altitude now to lose and less distance, but for now the aircraft seems pretty happy with that. We're still on VNAV path. So we have unable 250 knots at waypoint Bombo. We'll clear the message for now, we can deal with that later on if we need to. Just checking in the flight plan, we have waypoint Pedig out towards Rogby, Finma, Bombo, Barkway. Then from Barkway that takes us on to the 10 DME off the Barkway VOR at 3,000 feet, and then turning inbound towards the ILS, which we'll brief in just a moment.
Delta 155, contact London 127.87, goodbye.
For the ILS itself then, it is plate 31-2, frequency is 110.5, and again we'll just check we have that tuned up both on nav1 and nav2. Final approach course is 222, aerodrome elevation is 348 feet. We'll join the ILS as we discussed at 2,500 feet. That takes us down to the MDA of 458, which we've already got set there on the PFD. It's a Cat 1 minima. In terms of the missed approach, it's climb straight ahead to 3,000 feet, not above. At 3.1 DME off the ILS, we'll turn right to track the 173 radial outbound from Barkway, continuing to climb as necessary to the VOR at 3,000, or as otherwise directed by air traffic. We've got a max speed restriction there of 185 knots until we're established on the 173 radial, so it may be that we'll have to maintain some flap there for the missed approach should we need it.
Delta 15527.87, bye.
Again, there is mist and fog forecast in the area, but not currently showing that on the real world METAR.
Russian 2364, contact master control channel 132.755.
So landing on runway 22. In terms of the landing itself, we've already discussed we'll use auto brake 1 there. Be auto spoilers, idle reverse. Planning to come off at November Romeo, and then we'll be backtracking on hotel most likely, inbound towards the terminal. In terms of our fuel, we need 1.5 tonnes for Luton. Luton's the alternate today. Currently showing we're going to be arriving with nearly 4 tonnes, 3.9, so we've got an extra 2.4 tonnes there. I did plan for an extra 30 minutes of fuel just to cater for the mist and fog that we've already discussed. So arriving basically with an extra hour and a little bit more up our sleeve. Plenty of options then if we do need to hold. And the conditions in Luton are much nicer, so if we did have to divert, no real concerns there. Just waiting now till we come through flight level 200. We'll get the seatbelt signs back on and we can get the passengers sat down.
Master 132.755, thank you, bye-bye.
London, hello, this is 842, flight level 340, down.
Today, Shade 42, London Star, good afternoon to you. Have the best and the routing is Brookman's Park, Trent, Dane 1 Bravo arrival, Manchester.
Brookman's Park, Trent, Dane 1 Bravo,
DC 7067, climb level 390.
Okay, so we're just coming up on flight level 100, and I have to say the aircraft's done an exemplary job so far of maintaining the VNAV path. Speed just rolling back now towards 250 knots, which, as we saw earlier, may be an issue. We'll see how we go there. Just about to come back into the cloud. Outside air temperature is 16 degrees, so no concerns there in terms of icing. And flight level 100, so speed rolling off. We'll cycle the signs.
7067, we'd like 37 for the cruise if it's available, please.
Landing lights can go on. Already got the QNH set. It's 1016 at Stansted. Running through the approach checks. Recall is checked. Speeds are set. Minima is set. Auto brake is set. We'll hold the checklist at the line for now, and we'll continue our approach checks as we come on to final. So with the speed rolling off there, we have lost the vertical path slightly. That's not a fault though of the aircraft, that's just the way that the arrival is designed. So we'll take a little bit of speed brake here. Just help it get the aircraft back onto its vertical path.
Easy is 7067, roger, climb level 370.
9,000 feet. That means we need 36 miles to run. We've got 39, so we're looking good in terms of total track miles available. It's just a question of the aircraft decelerating there and therefore putting us slightly high on the profile. There's FMC speed, VNAV path. We'll just wait until we are back on path and then we'll get rid of the speed brake again.
Time level 370, 7067, thanks.
And someone did point out to me there are actually click spots for the speed brake, so you don't necessarily have to drag the speed brake, which can take quite some amount of time in the aircraft, so thank you very much to the person that pointed that out. Definitely a lot easier to operate the speed brake using the click spots. Anyway, we've got about 20 miles outbound here and then about another 10 inbound towards the airport. Stansted just off at our 1 o'clock, but a little bit buried away in the cloud layer currently. Still good in terms of temperature, so we won't need the anti-ice for now. We'll just get rid of the speed brake, we don't want that armed just yet. 8,000 feet, that means we need 32 miles to run and showing 34, so looking good here on the profile. And looks like we're already picking up the ILS there as well. 15 miles on the DME, India Sierra Echo Delta. And we're actually looking for India Sierra X-ray, so we're not picking up the correct RLS at the moment. Again, just confirming we do have 110.5 on both sides, but currently not the correct visual identification, so we can't trust that for the time being. Next waypoint is the Barkway VOR, and again, ordinarily we'd be turning back around to come in for the arrival, but we've just cut the corner here, and if we make the missed approach later on, you can see that has us tracking out towards Barkway once again. Fuel state, we're just coming up on 4 tons, now showing an arrival at 4 tons. So we've got about an extra 2.5 tons of fuel on board the aircraft, above and beyond what we need for a diversion. We set the QNH a little bit early here, as we've cleared ourselves all the way down to an altitude already. It'll be interesting to see what happens once we come back around the corner, whether or not we pick up the correct RLS. We certainly should. Just come back to init ref. And sure enough, we do have the RLS for runway 22 selected.
London, good afternoon, EZ6441 with flight level 390 to Goodwood.
EZ6441 London, good afternoon, route direct to Saitek.
So turning out towards the northeast, coming onto a bit of a left-hand downwind here now to come back around onto the RLS itself. Still nicely on the VNAV path. Again, the aircraft hasn't really put a foot wrong so far, which is great to see. 18 degrees outside, nice warm morning here in London. Just heading back into the cloud.
London, afternoon, JetSet 304 Charlie, climb flight 310, radar heading is 180 degrees. JetSet 304 Charlie, London, good afternoon. Continue on that heading, climb flight level 350.
Get the rest of our approach checks out of the way a little bit early here, otherwise it gets fairly busy single pilot. So engine start switches can go to continuous. Altimeters, we have QNH 1016 set and cross-checked, and now holding at the landing checks.
Monarch 5901, contact London 127.87, bye-bye.
27.87, Monarch 591, goodbye.
London, good day, Sky 6239, presenting clear to Watervisa.
10 miles to run outbound now, looking like we're going to be levelling off at 2500 just before we commence the turn. And looks like we'll be coming out of the cloud pretty soon as well. There's 5,000 feet.
Skyshare 26239 London, good afternoon, route direct to Sandy, Compton, and then Dublin.
We want to think about slowing up pretty shortly, but again, we'll leave the aircraft to manage everything for now.
Roger, direct Sandy, Compton, and Dublin, Skyshare 62.
We'll get the speed coming back if the aircraft hasn't decelerated just before we start the turn. Sure enough, actually, you can see there on the FMA the speed is just starting to roll back. So my understanding with the new VNAV model, essentially we do actually have to take the flap configuration as per the aircraft suggestion there, otherwise we're going to be unable to maintain our speed in a clean configuration as we come down the profile. Anyway, speed is rolling off, albeit fairly slowly. We do now have India Sierra X-ray visually identified, so we can now trust the localizer and the glide slope indications.
Midland, Midland 8865, climbing flight level 310. Midland 8865 London, good afternoon, climb flight level 330.
Climb flight level 330, Midland 8865, that's the cruise speed available.
Speed limit for flaps 1 is 250 knots, so we're below that now. The aircraft is having a tiny bit of a moment here, it looks like, as we accelerate and come around the corner. We'll start taking some flap here as well, I think, just to help slow the aircraft down. So we'll go flaps 5. And again, the speed limit for flaps 5 is 250 knots. There we have flaps 5 selected. That should obviously give us a little bit of drag and help that speed start to roll back. And we have flaps 5 indicated there with the green light. 11 DME and 3,000 feet, so looking good on the profile, just coming up on 1 to go for our 2,500 foot restriction. I'm going to try and avoid here intervening in terms of speed or, again, managing the descent. We'll try and let the aircraft fly everything entirely managed. Anyway, we are clear for the approach, so we can arm that up. And we have VOR Loc, single channel, so we'll go Command B as well. That should come in at 1500 feet. Speed still rolling off. Having said I won't intervene on the speed, we will actually just come into speed for now. I think we'll have to come into level change to do that, so we'll just let the aircraft capture the glide slope there first. We do have VOR Loc. And we'll come into vertical speed here. Just reduce our rate of descent. Just wanted to capture the glide. We are now in speed, so we'll go 160 knots. And there's 2,500 feet. So levelling off momentarily, we should capture the glide in just a moment's time. Just wanting to maintain 160 knots until 4 miles. So the aircraft did actually level us off a touch early there. We do actually have the altitude restriction though, so that all makes sense. Anyway, through 8 miles we'll take the gear down. We can arm up the spoilers. And we have glide slope. This approach altitude we said was 3,000 feet. That is now set. We'll take flaps 15. And we have flaps 15 selected. So maintaining 160 knots for now. We'll get the speed back, as I say. Probably go for around 5 miles in this particular case. Just coming up on 60 meter run. We'll come in again on the nav display. And we'll take landing flaps, so flaps 30. Just rolling that speed off, so VREF we said was 132. We have flaps 30 indicated, running through the last of our landing items then. Engine start switches are set to continuous, speed brake is armed, landing gear is down 3 greens, and flaps we have 30 indicated with a green light. Landing checklist is complete. We now have both Command A and Command B there. Just a touch low here on the glide, we'll let the aircraft correct for now. We've still got 2 reds, 2 whites on the PAPI.
Cargo 410, route direct to Dover.
Direct Dover now for Polar 410.
Get on the speed, just coming up on 1,000 feet.
1,000.
That's checked, we are stable.
Jet set 304 Charlie, turn left heading 170 degrees, and B flight level 350, level at beam sit at please.
Interesting to see how we do on the glide slope here. We're going to leave the autopilot in just a little bit longer to make sure that the aircraft does maintain the glide. Previously when I flew the PMDG 737 it did tend to dip a little bit low on the glide slope, as many aircraft in the sim do. Seems like we're correcting reasonably nicely here at the moment. Still just a touch low here, but we have reduced our rate of descent, currently doing 700 feet per minute. That's rolling back towards 600 feet per minute. So the aircraft did correct, we are back on the glide. Showing 3 whites now there on the PAPI. We'll disconnect the autopilot. And same there on the auto throttle. A little bit high there as we took out the autopilot. Coming off the thrust. Get ourselves back down towards that touchdown zone. We'll continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Let's touch down. We'll go idle reverse. And we'll just start coming onto the brakes a little bit more heavily here. You can see November Romeo off on our left. Right, so we are now clear of the runway. We'll run through our aft landing checks. So the spoilers are disarmed and retracted. Flaps can come up.
Shamrock 346, contact Brest, channel 132.830, right.
Now we'll just wait for the flaps there to come in. Running through the rest of our flows, pitot heats can go off. Anti-ice is off. Pressurization is set to auto. Engine start switches are off. Exterior lights, the landing lights can come off. Take the taxi light on. And strobes can come off as well. Flight directors are off. Auto brake is off. Speed brake is down. Flaps are up. Weather radar is off. Transponder will leave. And APU we can get fired up now. We'll be coming onto the apron fairly shortly. So we'll join onto the apron here, turning out to the right. We'll park up next to the right hand side of the Jet 2. Master caution there we just have for the anti-ice. That's of course for the pitot heats being off, so we'll clear that for now. APU is running up, so that should be available by the time we come on to stand. All clear on the left.
London, good afternoon, Swiss 354, flight level 340.
Twist 354, London, roger. Twist 354, report your position.
So as I say, we'll park next to the Jet 2. Looks like it's actually a Bonanza or something similar there on stand 15, so we'll take stand 14. And we'll just wait until we've lined up here with the lead-in line, then we'll get rid of the taxi light. Yeah, it can go off. So as usual, just positioning ourselves here, no visual docking guidance, no marshaller. So that should be about correct. Onto the brakes, park brake can go on. APU is now available. We'll just check the output there. That looks good, so that can go onto the bus. Get the APU bleed on, engine bleeds can go off. And we can shut down the engines. We have two good rundowns, so the seatbelt signs can go off. Same there for the anti-collision light. Transponder is set to standby. And the fuel pumps are off. Running through the shutdown checks, park brake is set, start levers are in the cut-off position. Beacon is off, seatbelt signs are off. IRS mode selectors are off. Fuel pumps are set, galley power will leave on. Electrical is set. Window heat is off, pitot heats are off. Engine anti-ice is off, electric hydraulic pumps are off. Air conditioning and pressurization is set. Exterior lights are set. Flaps are up. Transponder is off. And that's our shutdown checklist complete. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed another outing in the PMDG 737. Again, not looking to review the aircraft per se, but at the $35 price point, I couldn't really resist picking it up and showcasing the product to you. Once again, of course, most of what you'll have seen here is very similar to the PMDG 737-700. The slightly shorter airframe and the lack of winglets may be of little interest to some, but personally again I really like the 600, I'm a big fan of the 737-500. And it does have to be said, hats off to PMDG for offering the aircraft at such a price point. It is pretty amazing to be able to pick up a study level aircraft at this sort of a price, and again it really goes to show just how much the landscape has changed within Microsoft Flight Simulator when it comes to the pricing of these sorts of add-ons. I'm not expecting this sort of a price with the 800, but certainly if you are looking to pick up a 737 in general, then I'm sure that PMDG will have nudged many of you over the edge with this offering. As ever, another quality product from them, really I would say all of the same strengths and weaknesses as the 700. It is nice to see the new LNAV and VNAV, and that seemed to work very well throughout the flight. We should also be getting an EFB option with the aircraft at a later date, and I gather some graphical improvements are in the works as well. Phoenix certainly raised the bar with the A320 in terms of value for money, but I would say PMDG are very much competing with them with this offering. As always, the systems fidelity of the aircraft is pretty much second to none. I really enjoyed our outing in the 600, and I have to say that the 737 just keeps growing on me with every flight I take in the aircraft. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I do hope you enjoyed our flight. If you did, please consider giving the video a like. If you do want to see more content from the channel, then please consider subscribing as well. As ever, a very big thank you to my channel members and patrons for all of your support. It is very much appreciated. I do hope that all of you are having a great day wherever you are. Take really good care, and I will see you all again soon.